Happy Wednesday, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us. For those of you that are new, my name is Rachel Phillips. I'm one of the health coaches here at Incenta Health. Thanks so much for joining us. Each week we start out with some sort of poll or icebreaker question, and I didn't come up with a poll today, so we're going to do an icebreaker. When it's safe to travel again, where is your first destination? Money doesn't have to be an object, but if you could hop on a plane because the pandemic's over, where are you headed? You can put it in the chat, take yourself off mute, whatever's easiest for you. Ooh, Hawaii. Yes, please. The beach, yes. Vegas, so much fun. I agree with Hawaii. I want to swim with a sea turtle. I can't be the only one that wants to do that, right? Julian says anywhere with a nice beach, but without children. It's been a long year for mothers for sure. Ooh, tickets already bought for Europe. Tina, take me with you. That sounds like so much fun.
I know, it's the only thing keeping me going right now.
Oh, I can imagine. Disneyland, so fun. What princess are you going to find first, Amber? Or prince? Goofy, so fun. I love that. My birthday is soon, so I get to hug my parents. We'll all be fully vaccinated, so I get to hug them, and I'm really excited. So thank you all. I hope those trips happen and that there is a light at the end of the tunnel for you. We will get started. Our topic this week is positive feedback loops. We've been talking a lot about mindfulness, meditation, and incorporating some of that healthy thinking into our lives. Tina, I am an Aries woman, April 6th. Tried and true. I feel sorry for my mother. I was a very bullheaded child. So we're talking about positive feedback loops. So thinking that, I'll actually start here. So our brains have this negativity bias, which means that our brains are wired to think the worst of situations. And that was really helpful when we had to run away from like tigers and bears and find plants to eat, but it's not so helpful anymore, especially since we have this influx of really awful things always happening and we can always see it. You turn on the news, you go on any form of social media, and you can see a lot of bad things. So our brains are continually always seeking out the worst. And even though there's chaos out there, and out there might be really nasty, doesn't mean that our heads and our brains have to do the same thing. But we can rewire. So yes, we will always have that little bit of a negativity bias. We'll always kind of think that way, but it doesn't have to be all the time. It doesn't have to be as catastrophic. And we're going to talk about that a little bit with what wires together, fires together. So our brains, again, are made of neurons. And I like to think of it as like a highway system. So those of you that are in Denver, like I-25 and I-70 are these they're highly traveled, they're very set in stone, people know them. Same thing in your brain. Your habit of getting up, using the restroom, brushing your teeth is probably like that highway. Then once you start to take those exits, those behaviors, those thought patterns become a little less automatic and more, we have to work on them, but they're still not hard. If you think about how you drive home, you know it, but you probably have to pay a little bit more attention at some points. And we go all the way down from these big highways to these smaller streets to this hasn't even been developed for car use. And we can change that meadow that has no no semblance of anything in it. And we can build that out to be a road or a highway. It just takes a little bit of practice. Our brains are really plastic, meaning that we can change them with a little bit of work. That's what like cognitive behavioral therapy tries to get at as well. Some of the easy ways that we can rewire our brain, one is through positive affirmations, especially when things go right. We're going to use the example of like playing basketball with a piece of paper and a wastebasket, something that doesn't have a ton of judgment on it. Our worth is not connected to if we make that basket or not. We just have to go pick up our trash and throw it away. So positive affirmation, when things go right, I throw my piece of paper, it lands in that wastebasket. I go, yes, still got it. And if I don't get it in there, I go, better luck next time, and I go and pick it up. We can rewire our brain to not go, oh, I'm a garbage human. I suck at this, that, yada, yada, yada. And that's what we're thinking about, wiring together those positive affirmations, and then grace when things go wrong. There is a difference between motivation and discipline. This is probably one of my favorite things to talk about, because everybody that you see that has the life you want, the body you want, the weight, whatever it could be, they are no more motivated than you are. They just take that motivation and make it into discipline. So if you're, I don't know, scrolling Instagram, at least I use Instagram a lot, there's so many like fitness people on there, right? And they don't have any more or less motivation than I do. They just have the discipline that they wake up and show up for themselves every single day. And that will help once we make a promise to ourselves and we follow through with discipline. It rewires our brain to know, hey, this isn't all bad. Again, we want to be realistic with our goals. It's really hard to be positive about a lofty goal. I am not going to be the world's fittest athlete on the CrossFit Games this year. I'm just not. I'm probably never going to be. So why would I set a goal for that? Could, however, make the goal of like showing up for the CrossFit Open. I apologize, that's my sport, that's what I know, but you can apply that to anybody or anything in your life. And then there's this idea of like, we fail. All of us are bound to fail. It's part of the human experience. It's part of our common humanity. We all fail. Then what? And again, that comes back to the motivation versus discipline and positive affirmations. Any questions as of yet? Perfect, thank you. And I apologize if you hear anything in the background. My kitten just found a bell. So number one thing that to implement these healthy feedback loops is practicing gratitude. And I know it sounds maybe a little bit hokey. You're like, I'm thankful for everything in my life. But practicing gratitude in an intentional way has actually shown to decrease our negativity bias a little bit, as well as having a more positive outlook on life. Practicing gratitude often can lessen our depression and our anxiety because we're living in the moment rather in the past or in the future. And our brain really can't multitask, so negative thoughts and gratitude can't exist at the same time. So if you're practicing gratitude, you can't be worried about that deadline or your kid being sick at the same time. I am not saying practice toxic positivity. That's going, there is a silver lining on every cloud. I broke my foot, but at least it wasn't my whole leg. That can be toxic because you're not seeing what it is and saying this happened. It's this hierarchy thing, and that's where comparison comes in, and that's not a good thing for us either. But gratitude gives us a little bit of grounding in the moment when things may be crappy. And things like that. So if I break my foot, I don't have to have the silver lining of like, at least it wasn't both feet, but I can be gracious that I have a support system around me that can help me in my healing process. I hope that makes sense. It makes sense in my head. If it doesn't, put a question in the chat and I'll try to explain that a little bit better. When starting a gratitude practice, again, it's being intentional and practicing often, and it doesn't need to be this big, long, drawn out thing. It can start with writing down 3 things at the end of the day that you're thankful for or grateful for. And I like to always focus on the small things because I am grateful that I have a house, and I'm thankful that I have food on my table, and I'm thankful for all of these big things. But at some point I'm going to run out of those big things and I'm just going to keep repeating myself. But silly things like I'm grateful for my toothbrush, and I'm grateful that Netflix exists. I'm grateful for cold water and a comfortable pillow. Really looking at all of the aspects in your life to be thankful for will hopefully make your list not end too quickly. And that way you can continue to show up every day, and your gratitude practice is intentional. And I don't remember where I was going there. I apologize. That thought went away. Any questions on practicing gratitude, creating those positive feedback loops? One thing I didn't expand on is those positive affirmations. They don't have to be this big, long, drawn out thing. I know there's a couple songs out there, but it can be something as simple as like, I woke up and did 3 things on my to-do list. I am proud of myself. And that'll help too with rewiring that positivity, that you showed up. You had this to-do list and you showed up and kept those promises to yourself. Any questions, comments, concerns? Funny words? Awesome. This week was quick. Next week is our Q&A with a health coach. So feel free to send us your questions. It can be anything health related. We do have a Google form, I believe. Jillian, is that Google form set out in an email?
No, we haven't been sending it out in email, but we can certainly send out an email to everybody that's registered.
Okay, awesome. Can you also bop that Google form link into the chat, please?
Yeah.
Thank you. So if you have a health question for a health coach, feel free to submit it anonymously through Google. We will be able to see if you give us your name that you submitted it, and we can follow up with you offline, but your questions won't be identified next week. If you don't want to use that Google form, you can email us at personal.trainer@incentahealth.com. Please just use the subject line of Q&A entry. We do a Q&A at the end of every month, the last Wednesday of every month. So if this month you don't get to it, it's okay. You'll have a chance in April. As always, all of our past recordings of this Wellness Wednesday session can be found online. Feel free to share with your friends, family, colleagues by going to incentahealth.com/wellness chat. All the videos are available there, as well as a small blog post about what we talk about. And if there is any topic that you would like for us to see, to cover, anything like that, feel free to email us as well. I apologize. Feel free also to connect with us with any of your questions. We are here to help. We have a health coach standing by Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 Mountain Standard Time. Personal.trainer@incentahealth.com. You can chat with us either on the web or through our app. And then feel free to connect with us on social media as well, facebook.com/incentahealth or /groups/incentahealth healthy at home.